pro guide on how to enjoy the best destination in Europe on a low budget. How do you enjoy the best destination in Europe on a budget? The issue of limited funds can hold you back from exploring the world. With the right guide, you can turn this situation around. There are ways that you can hack the tourism code and immerse yourself in European culture, all on a local travel backpacker's budget. Whatever you consider the best way to embark on a European tour, spend the time in one place or absorb little bits of many cultures, you can do that with our pro guide. Save. There are many ways to travel. The most comfortable and relaxing ones are the ones where you have enough funds. Once you have twice as much daily funds as the locals, you can be sure to have a jolly good time. If this is solely a fun trip, where you are not going to work, then your money must work within the people's economy. Europe is more expensive when you move towards the north and west. Portugal is the only cheap place in the west for tourists. When you come towards the southeast, everything is cheap. Conclusion: there are countries like Romania, Czech, and Croatia where things cost lower than in the US. Once you know which countries you want to visit, you can start checking their standard of living and save towards the trip. No country in Europe is boring or lacks attractions. Culture and natural elements are spread across every single country in Europe. So work extra shifts and cut down expenditure ahead of your European tour and have a pleasant time out there. Other options include working odd jobs to get cash while you are there. But between the potential language barrier and limited time to explore, you might want to save up instead. Research right travel time. Since we have established the importance of savings, we can now settle on what you need to do to utilize your best savings. The first thing is to pick a time within the country where tourism is at its slowest. Every country has periods where everyone flocks there. Choose a time where students are still in school and the weather is not the most conducive for business leisure. That way, the flights and attraction sites are going to be off-season. Choose winter dates where the summer visitors have retired to their warm home countries. It might come as terrible advice to ask you to brave the cold. It is not. There are many beautiful things that you can do during the winter in Europe. Christmas markets in many cities, dog sledding, and skiing are all exciting choices for tourist activities. Autumn and spring are also good times because they fall within the off-season and peak season. It is another time where people travel to Europe, but not as much as in the summer when the beaches are ripe with foreigners. So you will have a moderate budget situation around that time. The bars and accommodation have these times on their calendar as a season to make more profits, assuming that everyone has enough to spare. So the travel time is another place to look. Mobility. How are you going to travel to and within Europe? The cheapest flights to Europe are there. You need to find them. There are unnecessary plane relays you can do without by going to the closest country first. You can make a direct flight to busy airports like Paris, London, and Milan, and then connect to your preferred destination with a cheaper in-continent flight. These tactful ways help you achieve easy access into Europe. When you get into Europe, then the other journeys become another hustle. You can research ahead for the best options, but you don't have to plan every transportation. There are times when trains are cheap, but not always. You will be surprised that you can go to another country with a budget airline. There are flights for as low as $10 within Europe. Again, you will have to look. It is also easy to get on a bus. Some bus companies go from London to Amsterdam at $20. You can also get from London to Paris for the same. The trip is going to be slow and long, but it will be worth the savings. Besides, you are on vacation. Why the rush? The other transport option is the train. Trains are popular and very common in Europe, although they are not priced the same way. The North and West again have more expensive trains than buses. However, you can get the best deals in Eastern and Southern Europe on trains. Ensure that you have the best option for each short-distance trip. Live like a local. If you have an Airbnb, you should make cooking your biggest project. You have to find the local markets where fresh produce costs close to nothing. And then you can cook healthy, fresh meals before you go out and have fun. If you can't cook, you should dine on a budget. The authentic local restaurants that have the most affordable traditional dishes are ideal. Please don't go to expensive tourist restaurants that offer the same menu you can get in your home country. If you interact with the locals, you can ask them, where they get their favorite food. They will show you a taste of the culture for small change. You should apply the same to drinking. You can buy from the liquor stores than at the bar because it might cost more. Some countries also have a local specialty, and you can drink that. In Germany, Belgium, or Czech, you will find affordable cans of local beer at the local bars. The same applies to local wine in France, Spain, and Italy. The cheaper the drinks, the more locals buy them. So make choices that are common amongst the locals. It will also be brilliant to walk to places. As a tourist, finding the best corners of the city on foot is the joy you take home from your trip. If you have to take public transportation, your best bet is public transport. They cost less than a taxi, and you can find time to interact with the locals more. Attractions. The free activities are for you. You don't have to pay for every attraction. Most public museums are free, and you can learn a lot from them. You will find free walking tours, which will do you a lot of good. You will also find that if you have a student ID, many discounts apply to you. For further discoveries, Google the free things to do in the country. Local bloggers write about these things and places for when tourists on a budget come along. If they align with your interests, then you should go ahead and do them. If you are in an expensive city, try to get the best out of it at no cost. The fun is in becoming culturally involved. Accommodation. There are 3 ways to get accommodation in Europe: couch surfing, work exchange, and hostels. Some locals sign up on websites to offer their couches to tourists for a fee. Although that could potentially be dangerous, the sites ensure that the people are well vetted. These people want to make extra bucks, and you want to save money, so that evens out. However, if you don't feel safe, here's the next option. Work exchange is similar to the first one, except here, you will be working for them in exchange for their beds. They could chip in free meals too. The governments regulate the practice, so the people will not be exploiting you. However, we have already stated our opinions on working while on vacation. Finally, you can find hostels. Hostels are more cost-efficient than hotels. There are reviews on the hostels to know which ones are best for you. Your stay there could also be a socialization opportunity with other tourists. These trip tips will get you in and out of Europe with only a few extra hundreds than you spend at home. What are your dream European destinations? Do you know the best time to travel to each of them? Share your thoughts in the comments and help someone else make a destination decision.